distinguished senators. That was
and now and ex-convicts parading at the presidential villa with the sinister agenda to determine the fate of Nigerians with the purpose of derailing democracy. We titled this statement, "Beware of regrouping of corrupt politicians in Aso Rock. CLO warns Tinubu." Gentlemen of the press, on behalf of the board and members of the Civil Liberties Organization, CLO, welcome you to this press conference. We are all witnesses to how Nigeria, our very dear country, which holds so much promises, as a global leader at independence, on October 1, 1960, has been destroyed by successive leaders. The founding fathers of Nigeria from the north and south had great dreams, and they patriotically laid good foundation for a great country. The military forcefully took over power through a number of coups d'etats and began the process of the neutralization of Nigeria. Through determination and spilling of the blood of innocent citizens, the civil societies, the media, and other patriotic Nigerians were able to chase the military out of power, culminating in the historic return to civilian rule in 1999. However, within 24 years between then and now, the political class parading themselves as civilian leaders have brought the country to her knees through massive corruption and stealing of our common patrimony. Nigeria is now officially rated as the poverty capital of the world, one of the most corrupt countries, a safe haven for bandits and terrorists, a country with so much oil and gas resources but imports fuel, 4 moribund and dead refineries that got billions of dollars in turnaround maintenance, which is a conduit pipe for stealing public funds by every new government. Nigeria is now a comfortable environment and destination for all manners of criminal enterprise to thrive. The implication of poor and inept management of the country is supported by the recent report by the Debt Management Office, which disclosed that Nigeria's total foreign debt for the period ending March 31, 2023, just recently, has risen to 49.85 trillion naira. That's approximately $108.30 billion, from 46.26 trillion naira as at December 21, 2022. Amidst these humiliating setbacks, the civilian rulers of Nigeria have perfected the act of impunity, where they regard the military-imposed constitution as a mere document that can only be obeyed by the poor. The CLO is appalled by the recent development in the country, where in June, a former governor of Delta State, indicted for corruption, led Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State and former Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State to visit President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Aso Rock presidential villa. Ibori, a member of the People's Democratic Party, was in office when Tinubu was governor of Lagos State between 1999 and 2007. And on July 12, former Governor Lucky Igbenedion of Edo State, who was also indicted for corruption but took advantage of a plea bargain to escape jail, was among more than 20 former governors, including Ibori, who visited Tinubu at the presidential villa. Apart from the few good ones among them, many of these governors who hid under an amorphous nom de guerre class of 99 were notorious for setting the template for the massive corruption in the country by fleecing their states and stashing the looted funds in foreign bank accounts. While briefing journalists on behalf of the class of 99, Igbenedion has said the visit was to assure Mr. Tinubu of their support and cooperation. According to him, we met the president as a colleague governor that laid the foundation of the current democracy in Nigeria in 1999, which has continued to be strengthened up to today. Igbenedion claimed that they went to congratulate Tinubu on his election and to thank him for appointing one of them, George Akume, as the secretary to the government of the Federation. He further claimed that they spoke about security, electricity supply to Nigerians, which they said were key factors in the development of any economy, with Mr. Tinubu assuring them of the administration's preparedness to tackle the issues headlong. But like many Nigerians, we in the CLO are not deceived by the regrouping of these former governors who are now shedding crocodile tears over the state of anomy in the country. They had 8 years in office and some of them went to the Senate. What did they do? They continued in their old ways. And what manner of support would they be giving to Tinubu beyond an arrangement to accommodate them in the underdevelopment of the country? The case of James Ibori, a former governor of Delta State from 1999 to 2007, is more rankling. He is officially the only former governor who was jailed in a foreign country. He was in 2012 sentenced to 13 years in prison for money laundering by a court in the United Kingdom. Ibori fled Nigeria in April 2010 while answering to corruption charges, forcing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to enlist the help of the Interpol to apprehend him in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and extradited him to the UK, where a case of massive corruption and money laundering had built up against him. He served only 4 years out of the 13-year sentence handed by the UK court and was released from jail in 2016. A very powerful politician, Ibori is said to have stolen more than $78.5 million of Delta State public funds and partly funded the election of the late Umar Yar'Adua as president of Nigeria in 2007. Ibori's influence in the Niger Delta and indeed Nigeria in general is said to still be strong, as persons seeking elective offices consult him for support as a result of his political networks and the depth of his pocket, courtesy of ill-gotten wealth. He was recently appointed as a patron of former Governors Forum in Nigeria, a position he now leverages to curry personal favors and manipulates political power in Nigeria. The CLO is urging Nigerians to keep vigil over our hard-won democracy, as the regular visits and hobnobbing of the former governors and corrupt politicians with Tinubu at the seat of power is a clear and present danger to efforts to rebuild our battered country. We appeal to President Tinubu, whose election is being seriously challenged at the Election Petitions Court, to not convert the highest office of President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria into a rehabilitation center for politicians who put the country in this sorry state. Indeed, most Nigerians would question the propriety of President Tinubu parading Ibori and other criminal politicians as good men at the highest seat of power in the country. The CLO, which led from the front in our collective quest and struggle for a just society where citizens should be proud to call themselves Nigerians, is now drawing local and international attention to the regrouping of these questionable individuals who are mobilizing and are poised to determine the future of the country in accordance with their sordid standard and definition. Impoverished Nigerians who are currently reeling in pains and anguish from the so-called subsidy removal, multiple taxation, hike in electricity tariff, and other forms of neo-colonial slavery as a direct consequence of corruption must now quickly wake up from their slumber to find their lost voices. Collectively, Nigerians say no to blood-sucking groups of vampires who have left our wealthy country in ruins and transformed it into a vast killing field of innocent citizens. We call on all Nigerians to organize and mobilize to take back their country. For eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Thank you for coming as we count on the media as our long-standing partners to join us in this long walk to freedom. Gentlemen of the press, as we were coming here this morning to address this press conference, that is why you don't find it as part of this statement. This inept, corruption-infested government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has again increased fuel prices to 700 naira. Officially, at the NNPC pump price, it is 617 naira will land. But of course, you know the ripple effect, what that will mean, it is now 700 naira. Where does that leave Nigerians? 700 naira a liter of fuel, and I can tell you this morning that the prices are marching upwards. This is a man who promised palliatives. They got $800 million in further loans from the Bretton Woods and the World Bank, which they are now sharing among themselves. We all know that the National Assembly is cornering 70 billion of that amount for itself. 35 billion naira is going to the National Judicial Council. We in the CLO know that all of this is a well-designed conspiracy to compromise the judiciary. But Nigerians are no longer fools. We must now all get our loins to prepare to engage these politicians. They are not politicians, because I also know that politicians are people who are a group of leaders who have the interests of their people at heart. But what we have, by even the regrouping of the so-called class of 99 people, governors, when we have succeeded in chasing away the military, they came, regrouped, and managed to seize the different political offices as governors of the 36 states of the Federation. What did we get in return? They stole all the resources across the states, apart from a few governors like Donald Duke. Just some of them, you can mention them with our fingertips. It does not matter whether a politician today is your father, your brother, or your uncle. If he's not patriotic, if he does not have the interests of Nigerians at heart, we must organize and mobilize against these people now, before it is too late for all of us. Nigeria cannot go the path of Sudan. We cannot go the path of Ukraine and Russia. We have a country that we call our own today. A small country like Seychelles is rejecting Nigerian passport holders. Why? Because we have lost it. We can no longer close our mouths and allow this band of few individuals to hold our country hostage. The time to rescue our country is now. If you have questions, we'll take it. Executive Director of the CLO is here. We have other senior members of the CLO seated here. We are ready to take your questions.